Attractive thinker, you're afraid of the wrong thing.
All of my life I've seen visions, coming attractions, knew I could do more, sought further, different perception, but a faulty belief system was my distraction, surrounded by things that did not support my vision. I can see beyond what I'm looking at, have the courage to focus till it manifests. Done with the things that hold me back, 'cause I'm an attractive thinker. I can see beyond what I'm looking at, have the courage to focus till it manifests. Done with things that hold me back, 'cause I'm an attractive thinker.
Great day, attractive thinker, and welcome back to another episode of From Birthing Babies to Birthing Dreams. Dr. Toni Hatton here, CEO of The Attractive Thinker, where we support you with mental tools for mental healing, mental strength, and mindset maintenance for new, aspiring, and first-generation entrepreneurs so that you can give birth to your businesses and your book ideas. I want you to think about something for a moment. You're afraid of the wrong thing. Having the proper perspective of fear is a game changer. And we all have experienced fear at one point in time in our lives. But I want to share with you today a different perspective on fear in an attempt to help you get over what is keeping you stuck, what is holding your dream, idea, and desire hostage. When you think about fear, even as a child, it's not something that is admirable. It's always something scary or something to be afraid of. From what I hear, babies aren't born with all of these fears. They're only born with two: the fear of loud noises and the fear of falling. Babies are only born with two fears: the fear of loud noises and the fear of falling. All of the other fears we have accumulated throughout our lives, and we have allowed them to stop us from moving forward. All of us have done it. Nobody's exempt from it. Today we're talking about having the proper perspective of fear. You're afraid of the wrong thing, attractive thinker. What if that fear that you're experiencing is not something to be afraid of, but is a green light towards the goal that you have? It's a rite of passage, so to speak. It's speaking to you saying, yes, go in this direction. What if let me share something with you. For my birthday recently, I wanted to do something that was out of the norm. I didn't want to go out to dinner. I didn't want chocolates. I didn't want flowers or balloons. I didn't want gifts. I didn't want a card. I wanted something that I hadn't done before. So I chose to go skydiving. I chose to get in an airplane, fly 10,000 feet above the ground, and jump out at 120 miles an hour. Because I wanted to do something that I hadn't done before. Was there fear involved in that? Yes, I'm the attractive thinker. People ask me after I posted these images, and you can see them, they're on my Facebook page. I posted pictures of me actually jumping out of the plane. So people ask me, well, Dr. Toni, were you afraid? Yes. And I did it anyway. Let me share something with you. In order for me to register for the skydiving event, I had to be at a certain state of mind. And my mind was already made up. This is what I was going to do. So there was no fear attached to that. I would say maybe the day before the scheduled dive, a thought came to my mind, a feeling about, oh my God, like I'm really going to be jumping out of an airplane. And then I let that thought go because I had already made my mind that I was going to do it. So I didn't need to entertain anything that was contrary to what I had already made up my mind to do. Because I wasn't going to be talked out of it, because the desire to do it was greater than the fear of it. And I knew at the end of that day, when I laid my head down on that pillow, I would have regretted chickening out more than I would have regretted jumping out of the plane. My mind was already made up, so I didn't entertain anything other than what I needed to do to jump out that plane. So my name is called. The skydiving coach puts me in the gear and everything, and I'm walking onto the plane. Now the plane is going higher and is steadying at a certain height. And I look out the window and I'm like, wow, this isn't high at all. That one fear that made it scary, the height and how high you're going to be, that was dispelled because we're at a height where, as I looked out the window, and I wasn't afraid. But that wasn't the jumping height. The plane began to rise and go higher. And even then, when I looked out the window, I was like, wow, this is pretty cool. It's still not scary. But guess what, attractive thinker? I wouldn't have known that from the ground. I had to be in the plane, in the air, to discover that. There are certain things that you will never discover playing small. There are certain things that you can only acquire, certain wisdom and knowledge and experiences and gems and jewels. You only acquire them in the air when you go higher in your life, when you play bigger in your life. Those experiences are for people that play a bigger game in their lives. Those experiences are not for people who play small. So you'll never get to experience or see what life is like playing bigger until you start playing bigger. So I said that for a reason, and you'll see in a minute. So I'm sitting on this bench. They had two benches, like seesaw benches, and you don't sit on them like you see the military guys in the helicopter or the plane sitting facing each other. You sit side by side. So you get on the bench like the seesaw and you slide back. You're straddling this bench. So when it was now here's the deal. Because I got on last, that means I jump out first. Didn't know that, because I didn't know what the setup was like inside the plane. Of course, it didn't affect me because what did I say, attractive thinker? My mind was already made up. Some people make up their beds before they make up their mind. I make up my mind before I get out the bed. That's what attractive thinkers do. Write that down in your attractive thinker notebook. Make up my mind before I make up my bed. So I'm in the plane and we're at a height where it's time to jump out. And my instructor, who was sitting in front of me, now gets up and goes behind me and locks my gear onto his gear. Clink, 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 clink. He does not talk, so I have no clue what's going to happen next or what we're actually doing. All I know is that he begins to scoot forward on the bench. And in him scooting forward, because I'm already locked onto him, his gear, I begin to move forward. Again, he's not saying anything. I move forward and he continues to scoot and scoot and scoot until I am off of the bench and onto the floor. Again, he's not saying anything. Now we're sitting on the floor at the door, and the door rolls up like a garage door. So we're sitting on the floor and I'm thinking to myself, okay, the next step is he's going to open this door. And in my mind, listen, attractive thinker, in my mind, I heard the voice, why, Toni? Why? Why would you do this? Why do you always put yourself in situations like this? And I had to silence it quickly. I said, whatever, because I wanted to. Let's do this. That's exactly what I said. I said, whatever, let's do this. So we're connected. We're locked onto each other. He takes his foot and lifts the rolling door up. It rolls up like a garage door. When that air, now granted, it was 90 some degrees down on the ground. I had no idea. I'm thinking it's going to be a nice, warm, cool day because it was 90 degrees down on the ground. When he opened that door, it felt like a freezer. The air, the atmosphere in the air was much colder than it was on the ground. I said, oh my God, like I should have worn my long sleeves. I'm not going to enjoy this. It's going to be so cold. And I grinned and bared it. So instead, I'm thinking when we were on the ground in my mind, even before I got to the place, I'm thinking that we're going to stand up and jump out of the plane. Not so. We're sitting on the floor. He swings my legs around. Of course, his legs are with my legs. And we both are sitting on the side of the airplane while it's 10,000 feet in the air. The door is fully open. And instead of him saying what's coming next, we leaned to the right and out we went, fell out of the airplane. Now, attractive thinker, I'm thinking that The drop is going to be a drop because it was a free fall drop for at least a whole minute, 60 seconds, dropping without a parachute. And I'm thinking, I had already prepared myself for it before I got there, I'm thinking that it's going to feel like, you know how your stomach drops when you're on a roller coaster and it goes straight down? I was preparing myself, bracing myself to feel that. Listen, attractive thinker, we're talking about fear. We're talking about what you're afraid of. Think about this for a moment. When we were free falling with no parachute, there was no drop in my stomach. We were met in midair with a force that was pushing back against us while we were falling forward, and I actually felt like I was going down slowly on a cloud. There was no stress, no fear, no resistance, no nothing. It was such a joyful, peaceful feeling, and I was so glad that I did it. It was exactly what I was looking for. And up there in the air, attractive thinker, the peace is unimaginable. No sounds. All I heard was the wind. It was incredibly quiet, and I enjoyed every sunny moment of it. And I could see myself gliding through the air. And then when he released the parachute, the force pulled us back and we were able to glide. And I was able to enjoy being in the air freely and gliding through the air just like the birds do. And it was a beautiful, bright, sunny day. And we landed on this big field of grass. And it was just, when I landed, I was so glad I did it. I didn't know what to do. I was so glad I did it. I didn't know what to do. And I'm saying that because the fear that you're anticipating does not exist. The mind makes it up from our experience, our past experiences, from things people told us. Think about that. From what we heard, what we saw other people go through, and the mind makes up this fear and causes us to believe that because someone else experienced it, that we're going to feel the same way or experience the same thing, and that's not true. That fear did not exist in the air. There was nothing to be afraid of up there, and I would have never known that from the ground. I had to be in the air to experience that. I had to play a bigger game in my life in order to experience what it's like playing a bigger game. You can't play small and think you know what happens when you play a bigger game because your perspective is small if you're playing small. You can't think big playing small. Your dream is too big to play small. Think about that. And that fear that you're experiencing, what you're afraid of doesn't exist. Think about that, attractive thinker. What you're afraid of isn't even real. And you're spending your time and your life fearing something that doesn't even exist. And sometimes in life, the big thing, let's say you are afraid of something, and it's huge, it's a giant leap, it's this thing that you really want to do, but you're afraid because it's so big. How about taking it in bite-sized pieces, taking baby steps towards it? You take one step, you overcome that fear, and you get another perspective because your perspective from the first step is different from your perspective on the second step. You can't see what's on the second step if you're on the first step. So at least take the first step and then take the second step so you can see clearer. Then your perception shifts. You're like, oh, this is not bad at all. Oh, this is not as challenging as I thought at all. Oh, this is not the obstacle that I thought it would be. Well, this doesn't feel like what I thought it would. You won't know that until you're there. Think about that, attractive thinker. So I want you to have the proper perspective of fear so that you can expedite your process and your dreams, ideas, and desires can make more progress in your life because they're not being held back by the so-called fear that doesn't exist. Remember to stop by the Attractive Thinker store and create an Attractive Thinker environment that dispels fear. When you look to the right, you see an attractive thinker message. You look to the left, you see your vision repeated back to you. You've created an attractive thinker environment that supports your vision, your dreams, ideas, and desires. Remember to stop by the attractivethinker.guru and get your free gift. Turn your problems into your solutions. And if you haven't already done so, run on over to Amazon and get our foundational resource, the Attractive Thinker book. This treasure is the foundation of everything that we do, and it's full of mental tools and strategies and resources to support you in getting unstuck, ending procrastination, ending the negative self-chatter. That negative self-chatter, we here at the Attractive Thinker, we call it the mental crows. The mental crows. We want to silence those mental crows so that your dreams, ideas, and desires can be born. You can write your books and launch your business ideas without all of that resistance. Silence that mental chatter so your mind can be free. And once you silence the mental chatter, now your ideas say, ooh, wee, let's come in. Now the clarity floods in, the light comes on, and you're ready to go. You're ready to build. You're ready to write the book and launch the business idea. You feel strong and courageous. And that's why we're here to support you in doing just that. If this message resonated with you, remember to share it. Leave a review because we love to hear from you. And always remember, my life's work, that is to make your life better. It's not what you're going through. It never is. It's how you're viewing it. Think attractively, and I'll see you soon.
Now the choices I made, authenticity, integrity.